to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it. Oh, doo-dah, day.
Hi there, folks. I'm Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing. And thank you very much for being here. Really, I don't say that often enough. I also hardly ever say like, share, subscribe because, I'm not in this for monetization. I'm just here for the thrills. And speaking of thrills, Aunt Donna is with me tonight.
Hi.
So we are doing pretty good. Dawn may be here as soon as she relocates from one room to the other so Ted can go to bed. And Thesis is here in the chat, which is I'm glad to see that. Have not known him for very long, but
He's a fun guy.
I do think quite highly of him. Yes, indeed. So I did not know that I was going to be able to pull this up on the YouTube app on the iPad, but I can, so I don't have to, when I type in a reply to a comment, it doesn't come out 5 times under each different place the video is going.
Except you must be in the stupid o'clock room while Thesis and I are in your room.
I'm on StreamYard, so yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That's okay.
Let me check and see. Might be able to repair that. If not, then I will ignore it. Yeah, it's in the stupid o'clock room. You're absolutely right.
Oh, I know it is because you said hi to us and it came over the chat, but it didn't come into the room.
Yeah, let's see. YouTube is funny like that on the iPad. It doesn't always. Yeah, the only link I've got for that is the stupid o'clock channel, which unfortunately is not going to do as much good. So, Thesis. Seriously, you are our people. I mean,
that's what I told him.
oh, show up in the green room. You will
He is
find
a
out
member of the,
exactly.
yeah, he is a member of the secret humor group.
Yep. So I'm just not even going to bother with the thing because I won't be able to see anybody's chats show up. Well, maybe I should anyway. It popped up in here
Mm,
eventually, so that'll be all right. It's not like I have to read the chats over there. It's just being able to reply without having to be repeated 5 or 6 times. Six. Whoa! Wow. What Joe Dog added another one. Oh my! It's being recorded to the stupid o'clock YouTube as well as my YouTube. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And 4 Facebook pages. I can deal with that. I usually add in. Oh, he's already got the Rising Tide Facebook group added in, so that's good too. That's the one I usually add in as well. Um, Unfortunately, Brian gave me permission, so I do it. Watch me. Oh, just out of curiosity, let's
yes.
see. Um, da, 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 da. Clicking buttons and trying to look professional. Uh, that's never going to work. Um, da, 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 da. Oh, okay. 36 views of Old Dan, 10 comments, and 6 likes.
Cool.
Yeah, really. I'm thrilled at the reception this little audio story has gotten. Uh, it's heartwarming. I swear, I I had no idea that that many people would be interested. Uh, I even ran into a guy at the grocery store today that I work with at the factory, and he looked. I told him I had done this thing, and then he looked up my YouTube and bookmarked it, and right there on his phone, and started listening to it in the store while he and his wife were shopping. So I am chuffed. It's
Yes.
it's it's nice. Unfortunately, Amanda Talkert and Traylana Bachman want more,
Of course.
and I'm trying to think of what I can do that's short enough to do as an audio story. And seriously, have you heard my music? I can't seem to think in less than 10-minute compositions with
I
music.
know.
But
And I've read your stories too.
yeah, well, they're long-winded too. I really cut loose with long-winded in there. Um, Looking forward to the next one coming out from Three Ravens. I don't know which one it will be. It'll either be the prequel to the Tom Darby book, or it will be Fly by Wire, which is the first novel I ever finished, and it was quite an undertaking. It was a shared universe, and I had all the other writers reading over my shoulder as I updated every day's progress. So I got all these comments and editorial suggestions as I was doing it before anybody else but them had ever been able to see it because it was a private link.
Mm-hmm.
So it got edited fairly well before I ever turned it loose on an unsuspecting public, which I did. Um,
Yeah.
Thankfully, the creators of that shared universe enjoyed it, so uh, I was eventually given full reign to have it published myself.
Mm-hmm.
And they how can I explain this? This is going to be one of those concepts. It's a shared universe. It's like a cross between Um, Man from Uncle and X Files.
Okay.
So the possibilities are damn near endless, and then they
Mhm.
turn me loose on it. Um, the the premise I was given was this is scripts for a TV series that never ever will get made, will never be made, and we're just gonna play this out. It's gonna be serious. We've got here's the series Bible. Here's what the characters look like. Here's what we do, and I think single handedly amongst the 10 or 12 of us that were doing it, we kind of at the time period invented the illustrated story on web pages.
Yep.
We pioneered actually dropping in illustrations and things.
Mm.
And Fly by Wire is one of those things where I went all out. It not only had pictures, it had like 15 different fonts and font colors for a couple of scenes where it was
Mhm.
in there are several scenes that take place in an IRC chat room. And you know what that's like.
Oh yeah, I
People
remember
use different
those.
color fonts and different kind of
Mhm.
um, stuff to make themselves stand out against just a gray background with black text.
With
And
50 other people in the chat.
you're
Yeah.
lucky if it's only 50. I've been at somewhere there's like 500. I'm going, ooh, this is busy. Um, Now, back in the day when I was doing IRC all the time, I'd log in every night. I'd be in um, between 6 and 12 different chat rooms on at least 3 different servers at the same time. And I had them boxed on my screen so I could see what was going on and just had to remember click here, type here, type here. Um, yeah, it was,
Yeah, I was doing that with personal messages on AOL.
hmm
Have 10 or 12 open at one time. And that's great, Thesis. Shared it. And speaking of
oh,
releasing something on an unexpected public, that Witzman dude, Carl Witzman, has finished Death and Love Down Under. He's sent for a copy to make sure that it's going to be printed up right, and he should be releasing that onto the world soon.
I bought the ebook.
Y'all, they got that? Good.
I sat and I started it, and I was up half the night, but I could not put it down. I had to read it from start to finish,
Mm,
and
he did a good job.
he did a great job. It was absolutely absorbing. I mean, I could not put it down to go to bed. I wanted to go to bed. I needed to go to bed, but I wanted to read the next paragraph and the next paragraph and the next. No, it's not it's not all that long,
Mm-hmm.
but he does an awful lot with the number of pages that he devoted to it. It's what 66 pages or thereabouts
Something like that.
on the PDF. But yeah, I'm, it's a real page turner, folks. I highly recommend it. I
Yeah.
really do. Um,
When it comes
and I'm
out in book form, it'll be about the size of my book, Convention Center Blast. Be about that size. And speaking of ebooks, my editor finally got off his stuff, and several of my books are now in ebook form.
now are they going to be PDF or Mobi or
Whatever Carl's was in.
okay PDF? Okay.
Yeah.
You
Because
can download them and then you can plug up your Kindle to
Mhm.
your computer and put them in the Kindle.
Yeah, that's why he went with that format.
Yeah,
So that.
because they're not being sold on Amazon. They're being sold through Lulu.com.
Yeah, not after what the Zon has been doing to.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I've been trying to clue people in to go to Three Ravens rather than Amazon for my stuff because that's pretty much where everything is right now, except for the books. I've only got one short story in an anthology.
Mhm.
I have absolutely no control over that. Uh, there was one I'm supposed to get paid for, but the check never showed up, so I don't know. Got about another year before the rights to that story revert back to me, and I can do something with it myself. So
Right.
I might be putting out a collection of my shorter and longer steampunk stories. Which, if you don't go to Aphelion, you've never read my steampunk stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that. Well, or if you've not bought these anthologies, because that's usually where my steampunk stories wind up is in an anthology of other steampunk stories. And instead of me collecting all this stuff and putting it out on my own, I'm under contract. I've got to wait till the contract
Mhm.
runs out, and then when the rights revert to me, I can do what I want with it. One of the stories, um, it won a writers contest. I got second place, but that was the only cash prize. Uh, First place was the people that ran the contest did a complete audio version, like an audio play of the
Mhm.
story. I'm going, yeah, that's nice, but I
Money's
prefer some
nicer.
Bowling Green. And,
Yeah.
you know, luckily that I got the cash prize. It wasn't much. I did have to declare it on my income tax, but hey, I don't mind. Give me money. I'll declare it on income tax.
Mhm.
Um, oh, yeah. Other than backlog of stuff on Aphelion, not many people are aware that I do write steampunk as well as science fiction and fantasy. Oh, there's even some horror in there, but I'm not proud of that. That was very early. Um, I'm a much better writer now. Believe me, if I was to redo that, it would be a little bit more gripping from start to finish.
Well, we
Uh,
learn as we go along and write more
yeah.
stories, and yeah.
Well, considering I've been at this for about 30 years, I should have gotten better. Yeah, I would have no excuse to stay at the same level. I've been advised by so many wonderful people, so many wonderful editors. Uh, and I have no fear of being edited. Everybody needs an editor. Even editors need editors.
Editors, yeah.
I say that time and time again. Every time they put me on an internet publishing panel at a science fiction convention, I I say exactly the same thing.
There are
Everybody
writers, yeah,
editor.
there are writers who say, "Don't touch my words. My words are golden." But I had one author friend who said something that has always stuck with me, and that was, "My words are written in Jello."
Exactly. I've had one or two submitted to Aphelion that hey, hey, don't change so much as a comma. My words are carved in granite.
Yep,
I'm going,
then.
okay, then you live with the typos.
Yeah.
You're the one gonna get scolded in the forum section about how badly you edited this and won't let me do anything to fix it. Or any of the other editors that we've had. Short story editors at Aphelion are like drummers for Spinal Tap. They just seem to spontaneously combust after a while. Um,
And
I
if your book is full of typos and misplaced commas and stuff, people notice these things, and are they really going to want to come back and read your stories?
well, that's the thing. When they notice these things, it pulls them out of the flow of the story. It makes them back up and lose the inner movie that they're
Mm-hmm.
seeing in their heads.
Yeah, if I've got to go back and go, wait a minute,
What?
like I know one author that constantly puts one person said something, but the other person did something and put it in the same paragraph, and then puts somebody said something, and I'm going, okay, wait a minute, which one did this? And like you say, it pulls you out of the story.
Yeah, and anytime you get a reader pulled out of the story, that's not going to help you. Not now, not
Mm-mm.
in the future. They're going to remember that this, and they won't even remember what it was, but they're going to remember being pulled out of the story. They're going to remember that the flow of words that translates into a movie in your head glitched,
Mm-hmm.
and they will probably apply that as a prejudice to anything else they see your name on for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it pays to listen to the people trying to get you in the position to do better. And I have I have I have never suffered any one of my stories suffered from having an editor go, "Hey, this could be worded better. Oh, you really went really shorthand on this. Maybe you could expand in this paragraph and
Mm-hmm.
explain it a little bit better." But that's the thing. You know what you wanted to say. And when you're reading your own work, you're so close to it, what you wanted to say fills in the gaps no matter what you actually said.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else's point of view going, oh, well, this was shorthand. Um, you, yeah, you can, it does make everything better. It really does.
Yep.
You have to have a little bit of a thicker skin, but fortunately for writers, adamantium is now a skin tone. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, and thesis, I'm very glad you like the story, the audio. Um, I I seldom listen to my own voice. I seldom play things back after they've been recorded. Um,
As do most
occasion
of us.
occasionally, with a commercial or something, yeah, I'll see it again and again and again. But I did not have the slightest idea that I was weaving that good of a spell. Uh, I think the main reason it worked is there was only the one narrator character. Nobody else had a voice to be done. So it didn't have a break with me trying to pitch my voice higher or lower, or this alien or that alien. Where I've done that before. I'm not that good even on my own stuff, and I know what the aliens sound like, and there's no way I can reproduce those sounds. So, uh, but yeah, the thing, it was just one continuous narrative in one continuous accent, one
Mm-hmm.
continuous character doing the narrating part. And I wanted to go in, I really wanted to go in with some special effects and add, footsteps crunching in the snow or dogs barking in the background or the this, that, and the other thing. And I'm going, no, that'll take me 6 months. I want to get this out there and let people listen to it because
Yeah.
it was done for fun. It was absolutely done for fun. It's not something. Um, Maybe the print version I'd like to put in a collection
Mhm.
and have out there where people can buy it themselves. But I'm very, very satisfied with the audio. There were some places where it could have done with maybe four overdubs of some stuff where my voice got kind of weird because it was one long 30-minute take that had to be edited down to 20 minutes. Oh, Dawn can't get her earbuds to work, so she's going to be delayed until she gets that figured out. Um, well, when I got done with it, I really needed a cold beer. I really needed a cold beer
I'll
because
bet.
I went through the entire half an hour without drinking anything at all, just continuing the story. And when I did do an audio flub, I just let it silence for a little while and then picked it up at the beginning of that paragraph and then went back and edited out the flub and
Mhm.
left it at the paragraph that actually worked. Um, that seemed to speed things up quite a lot. It still took 6 hours to edit, but you know. And then I had to go write the opening tune. Um, but for me, writing what was it, a minute, maybe a minute and a half of random instruments playing, I can do that quickly. The trick
Mhm.
is trying to keep me from doing 20 minutes worth at a time. Oh Lord, I don't know why it is when I'm doing music. I seem to think in 10-minute increments, and then I go, okay, time for the second movement, and there's another 10 minutes shot. But now, just go to my Bandcamp and listen to stuff. I mean, seriously, you'll see what I mean. Writing the 30-second intro music for Life on Korra for the opening, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life to hold me down to 30 seconds.
Yeah. Dawn is not going to be able to join us.
Oh,
She
okay.
can't work out her audio issues.
Thesis says he very rarely listens to his own voice either, which is why seeing his ad a few times over the last week has been odd. Well, you do learn when you're not close enough to the microphone, or the audio levels are not quite right, or the thing that always gets me, I could have said that better.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's it's a good exercise. It really is.
And then you get someone like me with my first commercial for Hunter's Ridge. The music was too loud. They said my voice sounded tinny. My voice sounds tinny anyway. But instead of recording a new one, I'm like, you have Audacity, fix it through Audacity, and turn that and turn that damn music down.
Yeah. Trouble is, you need something that's doing multiple tracks so that the music is separate from from the voice, so you can adjust the volumes of each.
Yeah, he
Uh,
did.
yep. I
Yeah.
used to be able to do that with Pinnacle. Oh, that was easy. That was really easy. And then they updated it and made it impossible. Um, why do companies release a new version of a great program and
And screw it
increase
up.
the learning curve so much you can't figure out how to use it when it was so intuitive before? Intuitive is the way to go, folks. If you're developing a program, make it as intuitive as you can and you'll sell more copies.
Hmm.
You got a launch ramp for a learning curve. You're not going to sell very many copies.
Not enough
Uh,
people have the patience to do
Mm-hmm.
that big a learning curve. It's just like with Audacity. Until Carl wrote the book about Audacity, I didn't know. I couldn't figure it out. But his book was so well written that I can use Audacity now.
Exactly. Exactly. And although I haven't read Carl's book on Audacity because I've already had it for years and years, and I've learned what I can do and what I can't do with it so far.
Hmm.
Um, Having used that makes other programs that are similar much easier to use. In this one of the audio story, I was able to re-record a short segment, copy it, highlight the segment that didn't work in the original, paste that in, and it seemed seamless.
Hmm.
And when I did the music, I opened it up as just an audio recording and copied it entire and pasted it in the beginning. Um, it's sort of like the I could have done it with the music program. I really could have because it it would just be another audio track. I could just put it in, but it would want me to match the time signature, which that's counterintuitive.
Hmm.
How do you put a signature to a spoken word recording? It you just have to just let it flow and go with it. But there are incredible things. 10,000 airships. I did a lot of sound effects with that. Uh, I mean, that was one of the ones where I wound up with. There was one piece that had like 42 audio tracks.
Cool.
Yeah, and 8 of those were sound effects and not music. And getting that to sink in, and that's SYNC to sync up with the time and get them in the right place. Getting them in the right place is easy. Getting them in sync with the music, that was that was a little bit harder, but it was you could move things just a
Hmm.
hair one way or the other to make sure that the different sound effects lined up. Um, oh hell, I did that with what was it, 10,000 volt tango for Brian, um, with a lightning storm and rain and everything in the background of the music. So that one was easier because that was only like uh, 12 instruments and 2 sound effects tracks. Much easier. Um,
Uh, for you.
um, the instruments line up automatically. It's a sound effect track that takes you've got to be able to move it back and forth a little bit. So mm, likewise, don't even go back and watch my own stream, so I don't have to listen to myself. Um,
That's part of the reason why I have Last Man Standing pulled up on this other screen over here so that I can technically watch it without having to go back and listen to myself.
hmm
I mean, I know what was said on here anyway, so.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got the playlist for Last Man Standing. It goes back over 2 years, almost 2.5 years now. Um, unless somebody says something that makes me go, "Huh?" and I got to go back and check it. I never rewatch those. They're. It's like Green Room. It's more fun being live
Hmm.
and not having to pay attention to the recording. Um, if it's not fun, you ain't doing it right.
Exactly. And we do try to have our fun.
Oh yes, doesn't matter which show we're in. Uh, it doesn't matter if we're just text on screen in somebody else's show or on camera on screen in somebody else's show or like this, my show, my rules. What rules? I don't need no stinking rules. Uh,
Exactly. So, do you have the fog that's encompassing most of the rest of the states?
I did have some. I did have to go out to the grocery store this evening because I slept until almost 4 p.m. Um,
Me too.
but yeah, I had to go to the grocery store and Nick's here.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Nick, say hello to Thesis. He's here too. And yeah, I noticed little light patches of fog, but it did get a little heavier where there's a lake on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
we, we went down to Terre Haute yesterday, and the fog wasn't bad in Danville, but we got over in Indiana, and down 63, there's a lot of rivers and stuff along the sides, and going under 63. So the fog was a lot heavier over in Indiana.
yeah,
And then today I had to get up at 5 to take my bestie for a medical test over in Champaign, which is like only 30, 40 miles away. But I didn't go 74. I went the interstate. I went the old Illinois 150 because was fewer traffic on there.
understood. Yeah.
And
You have my sympathy about getting up at 5 a.m. That's something I'm very glad is going to be pretty much out of my life forever. Even if I'm at a convention and I want breakfast, I don't have to get up before 8
hmm yeah.
unless I'm scheduled to be on a panel. In which case, I'll do my best to be there on time and be prepared and everything else because I like to at least pretend to be professional.
Well,
But
her doctor's appointments are usually later, but this was one of those things where she had to drink a minimum of 12 ounces of water and hold it until they did the test on her.
oh, that would be
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah, that was very difficult for her because she was seeing, and this must be a new thing, a gyno-urologist.
Okay, that's a word combination I never thought I would hear before.
Me either.
But I'm going to have to go down the hall. I will be right back. Can you please wing it for a few minutes?
I'll see what I can do.
All right.
All
Love you.
right. The only time I see 5 a.m. is when I'm just getting to sleep because I focused on something and forgot to go to sleep. Yeah, I'm quite the night owl usually. And Carla and I were on vacation down in Florida, and we had driven with my folks down to Homestead to pick up my brother who was working there at the time. And we come out of the motel, and I'm watching the sunrise, and Carl comes up behind me and says, "In case you didn't know, that's a sunrise." I'm like, "I've seen the sunrise a lot of times, just not from this side of it. Usually I've been up all night and see it." But yeah, the fog was pretty bad. But you just I'm a I'm a lead foot, and I was only doing like 50 on the highway, mostly because I was afraid of deer running across in front of me and not seeing them until it was too late. And then I could rant again about people, especially people with white vehicles that don't turn on their lights in a white fog. Uh, it's not only a state law, it's just common sense. And yeah, if it more people had this common sense, it wouldn't have had to have been made into a law, that sort of thing. But and I had people who, okay, I would go in too slow. They'd go around me like, you know, I'm not gonna stop and pull you out of the ditch if you get into it, because the road we were on for one way is a little snaky, and then it straightens out for a while. But yeah, I had some idiot pass me on a curve in this dense fog because I was going too slow for him.
Oh, Lindsay and I both have had idiots pass us when we're turning into our own driveway on a double yellow line in a blind curve. Uh, Scares the crap out of her, and I just look at it. I see him go by, and I go, "Well, it's a good thing I didn't get in the left lane so I can make this right turn."
Mm-hmm.
Because the driveway is very. It's one of those where you damn near have to. Either that, you're going to wind up with the back wheel going through the ditch in order to contact the concrete of the driveway later
Mm-hmm.
on, especially in my van, because that
Yeah.
thing does not have a tight turning circle. It's like the dump
Yeah.
truck, it needs an acre or two to turn around.
Our driveway is extremely narrow. Fortunately, the curb is breaking down because they changed our street from parking on both sides to parking on one, and we all got a vote, and I was outvoted. So the parking's on the south side of the street. We are the only house on the street whose driveway doesn't face either another driveway or an alley,
Uh,
which means we've got people parking where we're trying to pull this Sienna van out. But we're hoping that the curbs all along the street is deteriorating, that maybe when they put it in, we could talk them into not putting it so close,
yes.
widening it that a little bit.
Uh, let's see. Um, Turn my lights on even when I don't exactly need to. Well, that's helpful for everybody else on the road too.
Hmm.
And drive a big purple Dodge Ram pickup. Well, you know,
It's the right color.
Dodge Ram is exactly what you want to see reflected in your rear view mirror when you're going down the road.
eh,
Dodge this. Um,
Before it rams you.
uh-huh, exactly.
At least it's the right color.
Yeah. They just recently repaved our road. And on both sides of the road for all 6 or 8 miles of it, there's lots and lots of leftover gravel that didn't get tarmacked.
Hmm.
So I went out with a broom and swept a bunch of it off of my driveway and off of each side of the driveway into what amounts to a minor canyon that has been carved out by the USPS mail trucks delivering to my mailbox for lo these many years. And it's like you knew when the mail come because you heard like a crash outside, and that was a mail truck going to this little the pothole there off the pavement. So I swept it all in there and got it all nice and evened
Hmm.
out. And um, we got a package delivered that the mail carrier had to come in the driveway to give, and they thanked me for doing that. I'm going, it's not going to last. It's not going to last, but I'll keep trying to refill the pothole as best I can. But
Yeah. I'm just glad that it has been so warm. I say so warm. It's 41 right now. Um, my bestie's house is You can't tell that her driveway's a driveway from the road. It just looks like a little turnoff. But before you can get to your house, there's a steep down, across a little stream, and then a steep up. And if it had been ice, my van would not have made it. They
Mhm.
have four-wheel drive on both their vehicles, and they, I think he got out to work because that's the way you men are. But she refused to take her son uh, up to the school bus because of the ice. And fortunately, the schools did close. Well, they didn't close. They had e-learning.
Which is not a bad thing.
That's a good thing, yeah. It's nice to know. I mean, those buses. I've rode a bus all 12 years of my schooling, and those buses don't need to be out when the ice is that bad.
No, no. I've even been on buses that part of their route was a dirt road. That's fun in
Oh,
midwinter.
hey, you and me both. The
Yeah.
majority
Oh,
of the route was dirt road,
you.
gravel road.
Oh,
What? What?
outdoor temperature just went from 61 to 60. Last week it was 11 at night. Um, it's raining. That's why it's raining. Low pressure
Uh,
moved in some hot air. I mean, yeah. Um,
if it would rain, we could get rid of this fog.
all that warm air from the Gulf of Mexico's come up here, and I'm going, hey, stick around a while. Um, but come July, I want Zach to send me some Canadian breezes, okay? Um, weather down here is crazy. It always has been. It always will be. It can be 70 when the sun comes up, and then 102 by the time it goes down,
Hey,
or it can be like 20 below when the sun comes up and 10 below when the sun goes down. Georgia is one of those places where you don't like the weather. Stick
stick
around for
around.
15 minutes. It's going to change.
That's what we say here in Illinois, but we also say, "Welcome to Illinois." We have four seasons all in one day.
Yeah. I used to hate it when I was farming because stuff had to be done no matter what the weather was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, fortunately, Dad had the foresight to buy the biggest tractor. Had a roll bar and a sunroof, just a roof on it, so block the sun on you while you're out there driving around in ever decreasing spirals till you get to the middle of this. I don't know how many acres this field was, but
Now, see, we went up and back.
well, you follow the terraces so that the
Now,
erosion
let's
is
see.
lessened. Yeah.
We don't have that problem up here.
Well, yeah. And God help me, I'm just lucky I never had to farm in Kentucky where you're trying to farm the underside of a hill that hangs
Yeah,
over. Or West Virginia's the same way. Um,
and we didn't have a roof on our tractors. We had an umbrella. Had a pole come up and hold an umbrella over the seat so that you had
yeah,
shade.
don't get too close to the trees on the edge of the field with that one.
Yeah.
It'll get
Um,
ripped right off of there. Fortunately, this was
again,
steel.
no trees near the fields.
Yeah, we got trees all around the fields. I learned early on, if it's been raining, don't try and get to the edge of the woods with the plow because you're going to need to be pulled out. Um, oh,
Ugh.
I once got a dump truck with 4 tons of soybeans in the bed, stuck in a mud puddle trying to get out of a field. And Dad
Mm-hmm.
come over with the combine, which you
Pull
would
you
not
out.
think was a workhorse, hooked it up to this dump truck, pulled it right out like it was a marshmallow,
Mm-hmm.
and he
I
just
can
said,
go you one better. Dad got tractor caught in the middle of the North Fork River trying to cross from one piece of land to the other.
I have never attempted a river crossing with a tractor.
The river wasn't really that deep. It was only about knee deep back in those days.
And
Like,
tractors are tall.
and tractors are tall, and he'd done it dozens of times. And just so happened that spring, the river dug a little hole,
Mm,
and the wheel dropped down in it. Oh yeah, that was funny. By the time he had that out, he called my brother David, and David come over and he says, "Well, I'm not getting wet. You're gonna have to carry me out there." So he got up on Pop's shoulders, and Pop waded out to the tractor. Except Pop slipped and fell, and they both fell in the river.
that was a strategic slip. I'm willing to bet.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I'll show you,
Uh,
young man.
they
You get
ended up
wet.
uh, they ended up having to borrow a neighbor's boat to go out to it to put the chains on it. And by that time, about 3/4 of the neighborhood was standing around watching.
Thankfully, this was pre-Instagram, so photos don't exist.
Oh yeah, that, would have loved to have a camera taking a videotape of that.
Mm. Oh no, my biggest problem with the tractors was when we rented someplace that had never. It's the first time it had been bush hogged or mowed in, I guess, since the Great Depression.
Mm, wow,
And
yeah.
all of a sudden, you find one of those metal corner markers with the back tire of the tractor.
Ooh,
And you drive off, there's this stream of high pressure water flowing out, and the tractor tire's going flat, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, I'm gonna die. I should have stayed in Lilliput. Um,
hmm
uh, and those tires are really difficult to patch up, and even more expensive or difficult to change when you are trying to be frugal and not get a shop to do it for you.
hmm
Um, Now the worst part was Daddy didn't get mad. Oh,
Don't you hate it when that happens?
I knew I was in big trouble when Daddy
When they
didn't
don't
get
get mad?
mad. Oh, but I survived. Um, I don't remember what he. I don't remember what list he put me on as jobs after that, just to make up for it. But um, I didn't get spanked. I didn't get yelled at. It was just,
You wish you had.
yes, the look of disappointment. Uh, Psychological warfare is a thing, people.
hmm
When you wish you'd gotten a spanking instead of just getting looked at.
Well, all my dad could do was look because he was not allowed to discipline us. Um, my dad was a physically and mentally abused child. His parents were a piece of work,
Um,
and he looked like he was going to go the same way with the boys, and mom's like, nope, not going to happen. I'll take care of the disappointing. So all he had was the disappointing look to give us.
No, but that was
Yeah,
bad enough. That was bad
yeah.
enough. Um, that and the fact I'm sure the patch on that inner tube, or no, the price of the new inner tube and the patch on the tire came out of my allowance, which I didn't know I was getting.
You got an allowance?
Nope, not to my knowledge. Um, Apparently, mom and dad were making deposits to my savings account without me knowing anything about it
No, I
when
didn't
I was
even
a
have
child.
that.
When I was a child, yeah, my mom was a part-time teller, part-time computer operator at a savings and loan, and I had a savings account that I didn't know nothing about, and they were putting money in it every once in a while to help me with college later on, many years later on, because I was really young at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm sure that impacted the deposit schedule right there. Um,
Yeah, pretty sure.
I have no idea because, like I said, I didn't even know about it till I was ready to start college, and there was this savings account I didn't know anything about. Um,
I didn't do anything that cost them money. One time we were out, you gotta pick the rocks out, and I had a little Ford tractor that I kind of considered was mine because I always got to drive it, and I didn't notice that the bucket was going down under the weight of the things. And I took out about 3 rows of beans that had to be replanted.
hmm
Yeah.
Yep, we did most of the clearing of rocks during the plowing phase before anything had sprouted.
We had already done that and found out how to do this one field. It's not called Mother
Yeah.
Earth for nothing.
Um, when you go through with I don't even remember the name of the blasted thing that was on the back of the truck. It go in between the rows and turn the weeds up so that they were easier to get, and it would always come up with even more
Or
rocks.
cultivator.
Yeah, there you go. You're right.
Yep.
Um, but
Yeah, that's what had
seem
happened in this field.
seemed like the more you actually used the field, the more rocks came to the surface,
Yep.
and you had to get them out because God forbid if you ever got one of those in the combine, it would tear up stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or bend your disc or something. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you'd be replacing saw blades in the chopper in the front of the uh, cultivator head, or even worse, it got all the way back into the sieves and everything,
Mm,
and bent one of those, and those things were not cheap. I mean, you're talking about something about the size of a Volkswagen
yeah.
in square footage.
But every year you'd go out and go, didn't we do this last year? That's yeah. That's
Doesn't
why.
matter.
That's when Mom and I decided that's why she was called Mother Earth because she gave birth to bunches of little stones every year.
hmm I started to say innocently, I run into that problem in my yard with the lawnmower because erosion is a thing. So
Hmm.
what rocks were below the level of the lawnmower's blades eventually sticking up enough to where I've got to take this thing and lean it on its side and replace these blades
Mm.
now.
Um, in the front of our house, they have this nice little area. Used to have bushes that were the bushes got too big, so we took them all out. But they had rocks underneath it, pretty
Yeah.
white rocks. They looked nice. What they should have done was to take some of those little edgers
Yeah.
and put along there so the rocks would stay in the bed, but they didn't. So yeah, they and there's a little hump in front of the house. So yeah, of course, rain would come, the rocks would go out into the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I ever get around to it, I want to put edgers along there.
Yep.
Oh, and one thing I did.
That before I'm
Exactly,
glad I did most
Thesis.
of my stupid shit. Yeah. Um, I got lucky. There's not even police records of some of the stupid shit I've done because I didn't get caught. Um, oh Lord,
Okay, you said that you didn't raise animals.
nope. Just soybeans, corn, wheat, oats, rye, and I think there was one other grain, but I can't remember what it is. Something in the wheat and oats sort of variety of stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
We also raised cows and pigs. The pigs are basically no problem. You know, put them in a pen, go at it. Cows, on the other hand, can come in seasons, and we had 3 seasons every year. And of course, they were in 3 different lots.
yeah.
And I was out playing one day, opened the gate and let a bunch of them out. And
Don't tell me you
I ended up
forgot to lock the gate.
I ended up opening all 3 gates and all 3 seasons out, but I got them back in their pens, and somehow they were all still separate in their 3 seasons. None of them mingled. Don't
Okay,
ask
that's
me.
good. That's
Don't ask
good.
me
You
how,
got lucky.
because I don't remember doing this, but this is a story my mother loved to tell. Yeah, I got real lucky. Because usually it takes 12 people to herd one cow, and there
Yeah.
would be like 30 cows in each season. But I managed to get them all back, not in the right pens, but in a pen without commingling them. Nobody knew until Dad came home and looked and went, "Those are in the wrong pen. Those, okay, those are not in the pens that I put them in. They're all right, but they're not in the pens they're supposed to be in."
There's coyotes. They jumped the fence. Oh dear. Um, there was one farmer that we knew a long time ago before Dad. I think this was the first farm we bought. One of the neighbors, little old man, he didn't have a tractor. He had a mule
Mm-hmm.
and plowed with the mule, which is much harder work than it sounds like.
You
But, you know, I'm glad tractors were invented because you can get a whole lot more done in one day with a tractor than you can with
with a
any
mule.
any animal pulling a plow. Because there's a reason tractors come in multiple horsepower.
That
Um,
too.
but this guy, he'd be out there in the blazing sun, straw hat on, walking behind the mule, standing on the back of the plow to make sure it bit in deep to the ground, going one row at a time, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I'm going, I know that's the way it's been done before mechanical tractors were invented, But
Hmm.
I'm so glad I was not born in that particular time period because
Yeah.
that was I could just watch him and I knew how hard he was working. Uh, and it had nothing to do with the mule being stubborn and not doing what it was told to do.
Oh, even when they do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, even when they do everything they're supposed to do without any balking whatsoever. Having an animal drawn plow is one of those things where you just you're so glad that mechanized farming in the industrial age came along because
Hmm.
that is you thought baling hay and going around picking up hay bales and throwing them in a truck was hard work. Uh-uh. Plowing with a horse or a mule or
And
whatever,
you're only doing one row at a time.
one row at a time. It takes a long time, and that's why an acre used to be the amount of land one man with one plow with one draft animal could do in one day.
Hmm.
And I'm just looking at that and I'm going, it would take me 2 weeks just to plow the field in front of the house, much less the rest of the farm. Phew.
Kudos to him, but glad you didn't have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it taught me an appreciation of how difficult life was long before I was born. Um, there's so much more work involved in everything from that time period. And this guy, he had survived World War One, the Great Depression, World War Two, the Dust Bowl, and everything since, and was still using a mule. He probably knew something that I can't even figure out to this day. But I'm so glad that I had a Ford tractor instead of a mule. And believe me, the Ford tractor gave me enough trouble. Didn't want to do what I wanted it to do, but I got it to do some things it didn't want to do too. Um, there were a few times when I was mowing hay that once I'd made that most dangerous first pass
Hmm.
around the edge where rocks and half rotted fence posts and things would be sticking up that would damage the blade. And you started mowing the other way to get the endless spiral to the center. Um, our tractor had separate brakes for the left rear wheel and the right rear wheel. So you come to a corner, you can make that thing spin around like an ice skater if you wanted to. It could get scary, but it also was fun. You're you're going as fast as you possibly can, and for a tractor, that's not very fast. But you got to remember that's several tons of mass that you were
Hmm.
maneuvering. And when you decide it's going to make a right turn, but it's going to go 360 degrees and go back the other way, you stomp that brake like it was your best friend. Because if it didn't work, you were going off into the woods at 20 miles an hour.
Hmm.
Um, I have done things on a tractor I did not. Hey, Dukes of Hazard could not do with the General Lee. Uh, I had so much fun being a farm boy. I really did. And hear the
Hmm.
accents coming back.
Hmm. I enjoyed being a kid on the farm. Did not want to do it as an adult.
Yeah. Once you reach a certain age, hard work is no longer fun.
Well, not getting paid doing it either. I mean,
Yeah. Um, when I went to the factory, I go, wait a minute, 8 hour workday, and then I can go home
yeah,
and I get paid and
sign
I
me
get a
up
vacation.
and
I've
all that
never
other stuff.
I've never heard of these concepts before. Um,
Tell me about
well,
it. I was not only the first in the family to go to college, but I was also the first and for a long, long while the only one in the family with a white collar job.
yeah,
And my father could not understand how I could just sit behind a desk and come home tired that night. Like, for one thing, it's not just sitting behind a desk. Trust me. It's chasing down clerks going, "What the hell did you write on this?"
I can't read your handwriting. I'm supposed to type this up.
Mm.
What did you say? You didn't spell this word correctly. Because if I spell this word correctly, you're getting in trouble.
Was like, yeah, it got filled because the person who took the order filled it. They knew what they were doing.
Oh, I will never forget the day we had to put a new back tire on the big tractor, and that meant we had to drain out the salt water, and it was calcium. Uh, what is it? Calcium carbonate? No, that's fizzy stuff.
Some
Anyway,
kind
it was not normal salt.
of. Mm-hmm.
It was a different sort of salt that had a lower freezing temperature when you mixed it with water. So the tires would not get busted if the temperature went down way down, and water in the tires would not freeze. But so we had to drain all that out. We had to take the tire off. And here's my dad with this big old socket handle, and I think it was like inch and 3/4 socket, if not
Mm-hmm.
2 inches and 3/4, because there's big lug nuts on the tractor.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and he had this thing on there, and he couldn't budge it. He couldn't budge it. He put it back on. Got a cheater bar. It was a big cast iron water pipe fit over the end of the socket handle. And Dad was a football player in high school, so he's big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he's standing there holding on to the front end of the tractor, bouncing up and down on this thing, trying to get this lug nut loose,
Yeah.
and broke the ratchet handle.
Not good.
It was a Craftsman. He went up to Sears, laid the broken parts on the desk, and says, I need a new one. The clerk looks at Dad, looks at the broken pieces of chrome vanadium steel, looks at Dad, and says, Yes, sir, and went off to the back to get him another one right then. It's like
Yeah.
Superman just walked in and says he broke something and we got to replace it because there's a lifetime warranty.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy in the back says, Here, don't give him no arguments. It's free. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just going, the amount of just sheer and utter gall of going, I broke this, give me another. And they just, the looks back and forth between the clerks were just absolutely priceless. How do you break this? This was made to work
Yeah.
on battleships. Uh,
Yeah.
hey, um, if there's a way to break something, a
We'll
farmer will
figure it
find a
out.
way to do it.
Yeah.
And,
That's
hey,
what that's what
if
Taylor
a
was for.
if a farmer can't break it, give it to a marine. They'll figure out how to break it. They can break anything.
Well, by the time I was old enough to be recognizing what's happening with changing tires and stuff, Pop had found a place in Danville, and we frequented it enough that we were getting pretty good discounts and stuff. And they would come out to the farm and replace the tire if they had to. But another reason Pop liked them was because they were chauvinist. He could send Mom in, and she could say, "I need this size tire," and they would go, "Yes, ma'am." And later, I could go in by myself and say, "I need tires for my car," and they would sell me good tires at a discount because of who my father was, and they wouldn't try to upgrade me to pricey tires because I
Yeah.
was female, that was why we went to certain parts stores because Mom could walk in and say, "I need such and such," and they'd go, "Okay, Rhoda." Unlike some parts stores, which would, "You're a woman. How should you know what you need?"
Yeah. I've never been able to tolerate that. Um,
Well, when you're working side by side by your man in the fields, in his shop, you kind of pick up some knowledge.
mm, well, and mom being with dad for so long, and him being a machinist as well as a farmer, um, mom learned the lingo, so she could go in and go, I need this, it's got to be this,
Hmm.
and they'd say yes, ma'am, and they would give her exactly what she asked for, and not like you said, not try and upsell her to something that was more expensive just because it was shinier.
Or something that she didn't need.
Exactly.
She had a new
Uh,
clerk in one of the stores. She came in and told him exactly what she needed. He went back, came back out, put the part on the counter and started ringing it up. She says, "Don't ring that up. That's not what I told you I wanted.
that ain't the right part.
That's not the part I need." And one of the older clerks who knew her come over and was like, "Is there any problem here?" And she says, "Yeah, I told him I needed this, and this is what he brought me." And the older guy says, "Don't worry about it, I'll take care of it." And told the other guy to go sweep in the back room. I'm standing there watching all this going on. I'm only like 8 or 9 years old, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's how
Mom's
things are
got it.
going to be when I go in a place."
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Um, having the, I don't want to call it natural authority, but knowing what you need and knowing what it looks like,
Mhm.
and you go in there and they try and sell you something different that ain't gonna work,
Mhm.
no matter whether it's cheaper or more expensive. It's just not gonna be the thing that you actually need. And then be able to look them in the eye and go, no, I said this.
Mhm.
Go and get it.
And a smart salesman knows when to change gears.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we were first married, not too long after, we had to replace my little car, and so we go up to the used car place, and we're looking at this. Oh, it's probably a Dodge van, and of course he flips up the hood and says, "Look at the engine." And Carl's like, "Looks like an engine," and I'm looking in it, going, "Okay, yeah, this looks all right." That salesman did not poo-poo me. He immediately started talking to me about the engine and everything to it.
Mm-hmm.
And he did such a great job. We got, I think, like 3 or 4 vehicles in the ensuing years after that from him. And every time he'd pop the hood, he'd go, "Now just look at that engine there, Donna." Because he was a smart salesman.
Yeah. Yep. when I hate is when they try and cover up when something's wrong with it,
Yeah.
and you get them crank it up, and you say, "Hey, there's an oil leak there. I would have to have that repaired, and that's going to be
Mhm.
expensive." And they look at you and go, "Oh no, no, no! It's made like that. It's always going to be like." And I'm going, "Oh nope, nope,
Nope.
nope.
Nope. Nope.
I know when a gasket needs to be replaced. Thank you.
Mhm.
Uh, I've owned a Volkswagen. I know what leaky gaskets look like." Um,
Yeah. Well, one of the things I checked first on a used car was whether or not the heater worked. Especially since when I was about 19, and my fiance went with me to look at cars, and they were this station wagon was gorgeous. I loved it, and the salesman kept talking about, and it's got air conditioning because back then air conditioning was
the
not always
big
on.
thing.
Yeah, something to be excited for. And I'm like, well, how's the heater work? He says, yeah, the heater's okay. Let me take it on a test drive. Did he not think that I know it was August, July or August? Did he think that I wasn't going to turn on that heater to make sure it was going to work in the middle of
and
summer?
didn't make funny noises.
It
Oh,
it shot out a blue gray fog that immediately covered the windshield, and
oops.
we
That
weren't a mile away from there.
yeah.
And I drove it back, and I said, "Didn't tell me about the heater, did you?" And he's like, "Is there something wrong?" I said, "Look at the windshield. That came from the heater."
It's covered in antifreeze. You got a leak somewhere in the system.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can
Uh,
get that fixed. Not for me. Thank you very much. Got in my car, drove down the street to a different dealer who didn't treat me like an imbecile female and sold a car.
yeah. Um, bought a nice car once. Manual transmission, which was odd for this area. Uh, had a sunroof that I figured would leak. Never got to find out because it had an oil leak that I could see
Mm-hmm.
when you open the hood and cranked it up. I could see oil dripping out where oil should not be dripping out. They supposedly fixed it. Uh, my first wife was out driving it. Next thing I know, it was on the side of the road on fire
Not good.
before I ever made the first payment.
Sounds like my technically first car.
Well, needless to say, I didn't have to pay anything on the rest of that loan
Mm-hmm.
because I had wisely got insurance on it, and I had told them I can see it has an oil leak, and they said they fixed it, and they didn't, and it caught fire and burned to a crisp with my wife and her children inside. They got out, didn't get hurt, but
Yeah,
it caught
but
fire while
still,
they were driving it. But
yeah, it could have happened.
it was a nice car. Other than that, I would love to if it had actually worked. I'd probably still have it to this day
Hmm.
because
You
it was
know how
fun.
you know how Carl buys a car, especially in our early days. Way back when, at once a year, all the car dealers in the area would take their cars out to the airport and just line them up. So we went. Carl was looking for for a different car for himself, and we started at the end of one line, and he got in the car, got out. Went to the next one, got in, got out. I think he went through about 7 cars before he found one that he didn't hit his head on getting in. Because
Yeah.
he's 6'2",
Yeah.
and the salesman had been watching us, but after after we got out of that one, we hovered around it, and so he comes out and he's like, "Yeah, this is a very nice car." Carl says, "Yeah, I'll take it." And the guy's like, "Wouldn't you like to test drive it first?" And Carl's like, "Well, I guess I should." And I'm like, "I'd like to see what's under the hood, please."
Yeah. Carl's like, I can get in it without hitting my head. I'm sold. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And that's the car we took home that day.
hey, everybody's got different criteria. Um, I'm
That's
good.
like,
I'm gonna have to replace Lindsay's because for what little we paid for it, it's done its job.
hmm
I've got my money's worth out of it, but
it's gotta
it's
go.
it's one of those things where there's a messed up circuit in the alternator that drains the battery down if you don't drive it every single day.
hmm
And Lindsay only drives back and forth to church maybe twice a week.
Yep.
So it's gotten to the point now in the cold weather, she has to go out and put the battery charger on it to get it to crank up when she wants to go to church on a Sunday morning. This is not,
It's not good.
it's not going to cut it. No. Um,
And it's gonna get worse to the point where you won't be able to jump it.
and it's a 2002. I
It's
have
time.
replaced the battery. I have replaced the alternator. Um, it was a used car when we bought it, but one of those, my mom knew about it. It was one of her friends in the neighborhood that was selling it. Didn't want to get rid of it, but
hmm
was willing to part with it for not much at all. Uh,
We get attached to our cars.
yeah,
When I
but
finally when I finally got rid of my van, I was emotional to say the least. But my van was like her car. In fact, we drove it to the junkyard where I sold it. Had parked outside of the wrong office. Went back out and it didn't start then. He had to jump it for the second time that morning in order to drive over to the other office. But still,
no,
I was
like I
emotional
said,
not having it anymore.
there's something wrong in the design of this particular alternator and the parts that are used to assemble it. Even if you get a brand new alternator, it's still got the same factory standard parts in it,
Mhm.
and you cannot get different parts to put in it. I've
Mhm.
replaced the alternator, I've replaced the battery, doesn't change anything. So, about the only thing that's ever going to be attached to this car is a tow truck.
Mhm.
I'm ready to get rid of it. Lindsay doesn't want me to spend the money, and I'm going, honey, I can find a Toyota that will work every time you want to drive for the rest of your life. All you got to do, get in, turn the key. That's it. And we had a
Mhm.
Toyota, and we know exactly what kind of quality we're looking at here.
Well, that's what we have is Toyota. After seeing what they did to a Toyota pickup on Top Gear, and it still kept going, like that's the vehicle we need.
Hmm. As long as you don't drive it into a brick wall or nobody in traffic drives something else into you.
They put this pickup on the top of a building that was to be imploded. It was smashed terrifically. And the deal was that the mechanic can only use certain tools, and he goes in, crank it, and right up.
Exactly.
They tethered it on a beach where the sea would come in, and it got untethered and floated out a little bit. Retrieved it, brought it in, tinker, started right up. They're like, we need a Toyota this time. And the safety stuff on it is wonderful.
We had a 1962 Chevy Impala 4-door,
Nice
baby
cars.
blue, robin's egg blue, excuse me. And when it got into the 1970s, Mom and Dad decided to sell it. It had been sitting parked with nobody driving it for almost 10 years.
Hmm.
Had a die-hard battery in it. Daddy opened the hood, took the top off the air cleaner, dribbled a little gas into the carburetor, cranked it up, and it ran.
Hmm.
And the person that was buying it said, "Take my money, please." Um,
Yep.
little Chevy 283. Um, nothing impressive, no modifications done to it. Except Daddy had taken really good care of it over the years. Um, Mama drove it from Detroit to Knoxville when we moved from Michigan. Dad had a 56 Bel Air he was driving. Mama took that thing over a concrete island in the middle of a three-way intersection. Did not bend a thing. That car was still drivable 30 years later. Didn't even wobble. Didn't even need the front end realigned. I'm going, hell, if it can stand up to Mama, that's my car right there. I want that. Um,
Yeah.
oh, Lord. So many things, so many stories.
Hmm.
Uh, so many memories.
Yeah. My real first car was a Delmont 88 Oaks.
Ooh, with the
Yeah.
Rocket 88.
Hmm.
Yep.
That
I bet I
it
bet
was
that bugger would mortally fly.
it was built like a battleship, and it could move like crazy. And in this area, nobody had ever heard of a Delmont before. They've heard of a
Hmm.
Delta 88.
Yeah.
And so when they'd ask me what kind of car I would, I'd tell them, and the guys would correct me. No, you mean a Delta 88. You want to go out and look at my car? It's a Delmont.
I know how to read. Yeah.
Hmm. But
Ah,
yeah, that that puppy, I could put $5. I could put $2 in that thing and drive for a week. In
yeah.
spite of the size, it got good gas mileage.
Yeah. The size and the fact that it was built out of battleship steel. Um, you were actually much safer in a car back then.
Mm,
I mean,
this had chrome down the sides, down the bottom of the car that curved under the car 4 inches. Why? But it did.
so that the mechanic could really admire it when he put it up on the lift to change the oil. Yeah.
Oh, honey, no mechanic changed my oil back in those days.
Oh, tell me about it. Um, 90% of the dust in our dirt road driveway never got to blow because changing the oil in the air filter and in the tractors and in the cars and in the truck, all of that got dribbled right onto that sand, and
Hmm.
it really, oh no, I hesitate to think about what chemicals leached into the local creek after a big heavy rainstorm, but uh, nah, changing the oil on something ain't nothing. Uh, but nowadays,
Yeah, but it was something that I really shouldn't have been doing.
why
I'm
not?
I'm allergic to petroleum products.
Oh, that would be
Hmm.
a a major downer, yes.
After moving off the farm, and back then we had full service gas stations. I was very lucky because when everything became self service, I was already married to Carl, and he was very understanding. 'Cause he didn't want to see me spend 2 weeks in the hospital. Because I don't break out. I don't. It all goes in my throat, and I get Group B strep throat, which is in the yellow fever family.
Not a good thing
No,
in the slightest.
no. When we were on the farm, I was in the hospital 13 times with that.
What on earth? Oh,
What'd you do?
I'm looking up at the top shelf of my desk with there's a beer stein that Lindsay has put all the little pretty rocks that she has picked up for me out of the yard when it rains and everything. She washed everything up, and there's it looks like one of my hairs hanging down. I'm going, how the hell did I get a hair caught under a beer stein on a shelf 2 foot above my in a very inconvenient place to read? And I realize, no, that's a
They fly
cobweb.
everywhere.
That's a cobweb. Which we have a lot of problems in this house, believe me.
Uh,
Um,
Tell me about it.
she will get one of my old fencing foils and walk around to where she can reach the ceiling, get the cobwebs with the fencing foil.
Swiffer sells a duster that you can extend and do that with. And somebody did something out there, and I'm not going to go and see what it is.
Ooh, outside the house.
No, out in the hallway.
Oh, one of the cats. Because you know it
Yeah.
ain't Carl. He's gone to bed.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't heard any noises, but last time I went down the hall, Lindsay was asleep in the lazy boy in the living room rather than in the bed. So
Mhm.
I am trying to be very, very quiet, and not because I'm hunting ailments. Um,
Hunting rabbits.
no, no, I don't hunt anything anymore. I grew up being taught the skills, but um, I'm just too kind-hearted, you know. Now, if it came down to a choice between starving and hunting,
Rabbit is good eating.
yeah, but they're not all that healthy for humans. There's something in them that we can't digest completely, or we don't get the right minerals and vitamins out of it. Tastes really good, especially with dumplings and gravy. Tell you
So does
that.
squirrel.
That. Oh yeah. That,
Hey,
good night,
Josh.
Josh. Thank you for watching.
Didn't know you
Yeah.
were
See you
there.
tomorrow night. Hope to wake up in time. Um,
Oh, we will be late.
Yes, yes, I read that post. Uh, no, if it came down to a choice between having to hunt and having no food, I just
Yeah,
I just have to tell Lindsay, just close your eyes and think of England. Um, and boy, that could be taken out of context, but
I wasn't saying a word. Not the
oh,
green room.
she would have. She would have. Now,
Uh,
um, thankfully, civilization has not fallen. I'm not forced to go out and feed my family from the wild. We can grow vegetables here. Um, Anything vaguely meat related, we can still get from a grocery store, but I know exactly what to
Ooh, I
do
hope I
if
never have to grow vegetables because I suck at it. I suck at growing anything. I just I follow all the rules and it just doesn't work.
mm, well, we had a garden a few years ago. The insects ate everything except poblano peppers. I mean,
Problems aren't bad.
no, they're not
They're
bad. I
not
like
hot.
them. I like them. They're not.
Me
They're,
too.
yeah, they're not even hot. But
Mm-mm.
that was the only thing they refused to eat. They
That's
ate the
interesting.
tomatoes. They ate the green beans. Uh, they ate my spinach. Yep, about called Popeye. They ate the leaf lettuce. They ate everything that we planted except for poblano peppers.
You
They
can't
ate the
live on those.
jalapenos.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going, what is wrong with these bugs? And uh, uh, I finally got a little jar of seven dust. I'm going, next garden we plant. This is going out there. If I have to get a sprayer and mix it up and spray it on everything so that we got to wash stuff before we can eat it.
Yeah, but we should have stuff to wash and eat.
I almost said wash, didn't I? Yeah, doing that story, I'm channeling my granny. I swear, I'm channeling my granny's accent. East
That's
Tennessee,
okay.
right up next to the Smoky Mountains. You could reach out the kitchen window and touch them. That close. It will if the train wasn't going by, in which case you'd lose an arm. Um,
That's not good.
no, but it's soothing to sleep through. It really is. Uh, the sound of freight trains going by hour after hour after hour
Mhm.
is not exactly white noise, but once you do get used to it, once it becomes part of the background,
Mhm.
it's that clickety clack over and over and over again. It's you just hug your pillow, pull the covers up a little tighter, and snore some more.
Yeah. We've got a railroad track about maybe a half mile to the east, and on a clear night you can hear that, and it sounds pretty cool.
We get a railroad track about 7 miles. What direction is that? Um, West. No, no, south. I had to reorient here. Real direction, not what the compass says. Um, and you can hear that. I
Mhm.
grew up listening to it even further away. You could hear the train go by in the middle of the night. When you're putting the tractor away in the barn, it's way after dark. shut everything off. You're no longer listening to the engine roar, and all of a sudden, you hear the train. You can even hear the crossbars and bells when it goes past certain road intersections and crossings. And we're just a little bit closer than my family's farm, but not much. But yeah, I could hear that. Um, one grandmother's house was about half a mile from the railroad track. The other one, you look out the back windows of the house and you see this enormous, huge embankment that had a railroad track on the top of it. And you knew if that train ever jumped the track right there, that house was being taken out because it was right next to the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And still, it's for some people it's disorienting, but for a lot of people, once you get used to it, it's a very soothing sound.
Uh,
It's like waves on a beach.
Train whistle.
Up there you go.
Talk about timing.
Uh,
Yeah,
well,
he says his grandmother's house was close to the tracks too.
there we go. It finally popped up.
Yeah. Oh, of
Oh
course you hear
yeah.
the whistle from here, but the house is made of stucco. It's virtually soundproof. So if I can hear the rumble of the train, you know that the conditions, atmospheric conditions, everything are just right to penetrate that stucco.
Hmm.
Because you don't hear the traffic out here on the street behind me, which is not only a main street through town, but on this part is Illinois Route One. So we have a lot of semi traffic. You don't hear it. You can't hear it in here unless they hit that one bump out in front of the house,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and then you can tell whether they're deadheading or whether they've got a load on.
Yeah. My brother briefly used to drive transfer trucks, and he wasn't fond of it because technology had gotten to the point to where the people that were paying him knew exactly where his truck was at any given time and how fast he was going and um, whether or not he was off in a truck stop or off on the side of the road somewhere taking a nap
Hmm.
or because he was only allowed to drive so many miles in a day, had to go, well, can't falsify the swindle sheet, so
Yeah.
yeah, had to pull over and shut it down till the next allowable driving period came along. But he's good at it.
I
I mean,
as I
he was good at
understand,
it.
as I understand, a lot of these semis these days will shut themselves down after so many miles. That's why you'll
Yeah,
see them uh, not in the rest stop because their mileage uh, let let them stop, made them stop just that close to the rest stop.
couldn't make it up the on ramp because the truck
Mhm.
shut itself off.
Mhm.
Um, you know what would be a great thing is if a bunch of them decided to do that simultaneously on 285 and just stopped all traffic through Atlanta.
I was gonna say if some
Oh,
cars would do that.
oh, what I want is a remote control that goes, um, his "You're an idiot" button, and
Mhm.
I see somebody in traffic going stupid, stupid plus 10. Just go license plate, click, cops show up. Write him out a ticket for being a dumbass. Uh,
Unfortunately, there's no law against that.
yeah. We'd all break that one from time to time, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I got a smart ass.
Not the green room, Daniel.
And we got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I know. And I need to go down the hallway. By the time I get back, we'll have to end the show. Um, mm, well, thank you to everybody that has watched us this far, everybody that's going to watch in the replay later on. Really appreciate it. Um, the house was not full, but you wouldn't realize it. Once you get me and Aunt Donna together, house feels full, don't it? Uh,
Mm, that is what you said last night.
I don't remember being online last night.
Ah, I didn't say it was online last night.
Oh, you're reading my mind again. Ah, damn it, folks. I think I just found Mrs. Odin. Um, oh. Yeah, that's something I wondered after I got through recording the story. If Odin is Allfather, where'd his wife come from?
She's the All Mother. That would be
Yeah,
Frida.
but yeah, but there's some implications in that term. There's some
Well, Odin
wasn't the
picky.
first
Shall I say picky?
picky.
I was reading this one book that was supposed to be telling our stories of the Norse mythology, and I want to say I'm sorry, but you could tell a Christian had written it, especially when you were reading the chapter on Odin, because he kept talking about Odin's different wives. He wedded this lady. He wedded that giantess. He wedded. No, you're using the wrong word. It's not wedded with a W. It's bedded with a B.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let's not PC this up. Let's tell the truth here.
And actually, even in human cultures around the globe, that is or used to be part of diplomacy. Is how to create a treaty between two people.
Mm-hmm.
Is you got to sample the goods occasionally,
Good way of putting it. Yeah.
and it went both ways. It was not
Mm-hmm.
decided. Um,
Yep.
yeah. Oh no, we don't want to sign a treaty with them. He's lazy in bed. Um,
if he's as bad on the battlefield as he is in bed, no, we don't want to be allies with him.
no, 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 no. He'll never show up. He'll always be late. Uh, we can win this battle without him before he even gets out of bed, and that's what if he's alone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, I can't wait any longer. I'm gonna go, and when I come back, I'll probably just have to go straight to the ending. So let me switch over to the brand right now. And thesis, yes, prima nocta. You're absolutely right. Yes, indeed. Uh, although that sounds a little bit more Latin than what I remember, but I will bow to your expertise, my friend. I am not a master of languages, The only thing I can ever master is myself. And that's all I want to do.
It's all any of us should do.
So, 5 minutes. I gotta go. It's gonna take longer than 5 minutes. Let me just go ahead
I was
and
going to say, just shut it down now.
just shut it down now. I mean,
Okay.
nobody's gonna complain. And see, everybody that is brave enough to enter the green room and suffer the outrageous fortunes that is this group unrecorded. Uh, See y'all tomorrow. If not,
See you
stupid o'clock and last man standing Saturday
Saturday
night,
night.
Sunday morning. So we will say adieu.
Adieu.
Because rather than good night, just see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Transmission overload.
System will shut down. 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 System will shut down.
Hello, I'm Dan Hollifield. I'm the senior editor and publisher of Aphelion Webzine, the world's oldest free creative writing e-zine since 1997. Since then, we have helped over 500 amateur writers learn what they needed to turn pro. www.aphelion-webzine.com and read not only what we've got going on right now, but 28 years worth of our archives of stories. Thank you very much.